Now, Ryan.
Hey, what's up, Rich?
You have a game to show as well today.
I have another game. I've got a little GameCube game here, Sonic Gems Collection. It's a new compilation of classic Sonic games, and we're going to show off, for the first time ever, a few of the games that are included in the package.
So when you say for the first time ever, that means for the first time ever, like, ever.
Well, obviously not the ever that anyone's ever seen these games, but in this compilation on the GameCube, there's not been any video anywhere of this. So.
World premiere.
World premiere.
I love saying that.
Let's call it.
Fire it up. I want to see. We're going
to look at one of the first games, which is Sonic the Fighters. This was actually originally an arcade game. This was originally developed by AM2. Here you can see it's just a fighting game. It's a polygonal fighting game. It was an arcade game. It was released on basically it's basically like Virtua Fighter 2 era.
Right.
Polygonal fighter.
What now? You're telling me the story to this game.
Okay, the story to this game is absolutely crazy. Dr. Robotnik, a.k.a. Dr. Eggman, has created a new Death Egg, which is kind of like, Death Star.
Oh, so it's in space.
It's in space, and so he's created this new Death Egg, and Tails finds out about this, and he builds himself a rocket, but the rocket only seats one person.
Oh, no.
So the Earth's fighters, the heroes, as it were, decide to have a competition to decide who's going to go up and take down Dr. Robotnik.
And I'm guessing the competition is fighting.
And the competition is this match. So here you see me, I'm Polygonal Sonic, and I'm taking out Knuckles, because I don't know what an echidna is, and that kind of makes me angry. So I'm just going to beat him to death. So you can see, like, graphically, this is pretty true to how the game looked. Now, what's extra cool about this is the first time that Sonic the Fighters has appeared on any home console.
Ever, because it was an arcade game.
This was an arcade game only, and it's especially cool because this game had very limited distribution in the U.S. So for most people, this is going to be the first time that they get to play this.
Great.
So as you can see, it's pretty much standard fighting game. You go through each level. I'm going to fight Amy next, and you go through a series of challengers until you get to the end. You're going to end up fighting a doppelganger version of yourself, and of course the robot Sonic. And I'll leave the end to be a surprise.
I bet there's a rocket ship involved somehow. Can we see you play as another character quickly?
You want to see me play as someone else?
I want to know. I want to see all the characters. I was a Nintendo kid growing up, I'll be honest with you, so I was not really familiar with the Sonic universe.
Okay, well,
you just show me who's in the game, tell me a little about them.
So we've got a ton of different fighters in here. There's Sonic, obviously. There's Tails. There's also a bunch of new fighters in this game.
Like 10 seconds.
And then there's Fang the Sniper, Bean the Dynamite, I don't know what that is, Bark the Polar Bear, Espio the Chameleon, Amy, Rose, and Knuckles. A lot of these fighters, this is the first time they show up. Something like Espio is a character that shows up again later on in like Sonic Heroes, but this is a first appearance for a lot of them. Oh, and here I'm going to start off fighting against the black and white doppelganger version of Knuckles. So I'm going to give him the business. Give him so the controls are pretty intuitive, especially if you've been playing like any of the Virtua Fighter games. It's kind of like a more simplified version of those with the 3-button mechanics. Right. So it's pretty easy to get into in that regard.
Cool. Well, all right, that's what this game looks like.
That's enough of that.
There's a moves list.
There's moves list. Everyone has moves. It's cool.
Versus mode. I'm guessing 2-player.
Yes, you can go 1-on-1.
All right.
We can get out of here.
Here's a question for you, by the way, about
All right,
Sonic
I'll see if I can answer it for you.
It's from Peter Ellingson in Norway. How many classic games are in the collection?
Oh, there's a ton.
I say that just because you're bringing up the menu.
I bring up the menu. That works perfectly.
Yes.
So there's Sonic the Fighter, Sonic CD, Sonic R, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Game Gear. These are all Game Gear games. Sonic Spinball, Sonic the Hedgehog, Triple Trouble. So this many.
Nice.
And also unlockable Vector Man and Vector Man 2.
Now, the Japanese version gets Streets of Rages 1, 2, and 3.
And, something else. I forget what else they get.
Another game.
They get another game.
Another 2 games, actually.
But no, in the U.S., the reason that they could not include Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 is because of the rating. They would have had to have pushed up the rating here to a T. Otherwise, it's just an E, so...
Curse you looking out for our children of America.
Just want to make sure that this is cool for the kids, because that's who this is for. Actually, this is for me. This is Sonic CD. This is my personal favorite Sonic game. Now, this was originally and only released for the Sega CD, which was that crazy Genesis peripheral.
Oh, right, the Sega CD.
This came out between Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3. There's Amy. She's saying what's up. I'm like, hey, this is actually the first game Amy shows up in.
Oh, right.
She's got eyes for me, but then Robot Sonic comes and says, see you later. And I'm obviously not too happy about that, so I'm going to go run after him. Now, this is, for the most part, this is really... Oh, jump right on there. The rings. I need those rings. A ring junkie.
So So this is like, as you say, this is your classic.
This
when
is
you think of Sonic, you think of...
This is side-scrolling Sonic action, but there are some twists. Part of what makes Sonic CD really cool is it has this time travel element to it, where I'll see if I can get to a part pretty soon here. I'm not that far away. Where you'll actually hit a special marker, and then if you go fast enough for long enough, you'll travel through time.
Superman style.
Yes, you'll spin the Earth around backwards, go back and save Lois Lane. So here's the future mark. I see if I can actually get him going. Oh, I lost it.
You lost it?
Oh, yeah, I lost it. Anyways,
so
I'll see if I can. I'll keep playing here. I'll see if I can make it happen. But it's basically you go into like a future or past version of the level that you're in, and in the future everything's all ruined and bad because Dr. Eggman and his robot Sonic. The plot really doesn't really matter too much. But this is just great classic Sonic gameplay, and one of the games that a lot of people missed out on because it only came out on the Sega CD. Also, great soundtrack.
So Johannes de Mattia of Gothenburg, Sweden, I'm sure I said every name wrong there except for Sweden, he says he wants to know, is Sonic Gems Collection a must-have for Sonic fans?
I think if you're a real hardcore Sonic fan, absolutely. There are a lot of games here that have gotten limited releases before that there's stuff like Sonic the Fighters, which barely anyone in the U.S. has played. This is a lot more obscure stuff than was in the Sonic Mega Collection games. But absolutely, if you're hardcore about your Sonic, there's just a lot of great stuff here. You would have to hook up like 18 different systems to play originally. You have to get your Game Gear out, your Saturn, Sega CD.
Speaking of Saturn,
there's a Saturn game on here, Sonic R. This was actually developed by Traveller's Tales, the British development studio.
I see a flag that implies racing.
This is a racing game. Sonic R is a racer. You control one of the Sonic characters, and I have to say, I am really stoked that they have all these games where I can just play as Sonic. Really bummed out in all the new Sonic games where there's all these other crazy characters. I just want to play as Sonic, man.
You just want to be Sonic?
I just want to be Sonic.
I understand.
So this was a Saturn game. This is actually, to my understanding, a version of the PC version of Sonic R, which actually looks a little bit cleaner than the Sega Saturn version.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, this is a pretty straightforward racer. This is probably the one that only real hardcore Sonic fans are really going to appreciate. It's a little bit weird, just the way that the characters control. You'll see in a second here.
Okay.
This is just a foot race, basically. And everyone kind of controls a little bit like tanks, which, and then you go underwater, and that's bad.
It's kind of like a steeplechase.
Basically, yes, something like that. And you can just, you just use the joystick to control your movements, and you can use the A button to jump over obstacles. And you can also use the shoulder buttons to lean around corners, which is especially useful in some of the harder turns.
Now, when you say drive like a truck, what do you mean? I mean,
it's sort of tank controls. It's just you don't have immediate stop control or anything. So it's like you're driving a car. Actually, which works because a few of the characters are actually driving cars.
Oh, that does work. Well, this looks cool, and I would assume that any Sonic fan, as you said, would want to get their hands on all these Sonic games, but doesn't want to go on eBay or somewhere to buy a Genesis and then...
Way easier to do
or
this.
Or a Sega CD and find one that's working.
Absolutely.
Great.
Because they can't have mine.